What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense. And today, the prosecution and the defense, they both were impressive. We'll say that. Impressive at the least. Now I see why these people make this kind of money. This was good. Shouldn't have been good because the subject matter, but it was good. Like the video's intro plays, we got a lot to get into.
Make it make sense to me intellectually.
What I love about Mims, make it make sense. He's a YouTuber. He gets the court record, so he gets the cases.
Make it make sense. You knew what was up. And don't you forget that.
Big Mims. Surfer. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
None of these. No, sir.
They tell you, man, let me give you
$1,000, bro. Really?
All right, I'm gonna give you $1 billion.
Huh?
I'm gonna give you $1 billion. Come on.
Oh, you said little 1-2 here in a wig?
Come on, bad boy for life,
Say
baby.
no more. What all I need to do? Puff Daddy.
We're gonna have some dreams and nightmares. Bad boy, baby.
She likes to be out in the nightclubs. She's got a really sexy voice. You know, she's got like that husky, voice. And she looks like she'd be a lot of fun. For a quick tumble, hit it and quit.
Okay, y'all. Okay, so look, y'all know I'm a New Yorker now, right? So I've been riding the subway. If you've never been to New York, let me give you an idea of what the subway is like. Yesterday, this lady was blasting the Moesha theme song back to back to back to back to back. From Times Square to Brooklyn, back to back to back. New Yorkers do not care. They will not hold the door for you. And you might see something like this, just giving you a little heads up of what to expect. They could be seeing this whole striptease, whatever we call it, and nobody cares.
Explain something to you people. It's going to be a lot going on, but it's not going to be.
This is a classic
really
case of minding your own damn business. While this man is going on with his shenanigans, these New Yorkers
He's just carrying on like it's a normal day on the subway, and this. First I thought he was stretching, then I thought I don't know what that is dope, but
This is this is what you can expect in New York. I'm really kind of getting used to it. I don't know. Next week I'm gonna be back home. We're gonna probably be doing like the transcripts, and then the week after that, I'll decide. It kind of just depends on what you guys want. But yeah, I might be here for a while, and you never know what you're gonna see, who you're gonna be sitting next to. But there we go. My mic keeps. Okay, we're here. So yeah, today was good. We start back off with George Kaplan. And George Kaplan describes a couple of incidents that he saw that really disturbed him. While George was in Diddy's employ, he got a private jet. Sorry, I can take this guy off. He got a private jet. With that private jet, Diddy was excited about it, but not excited enough to stop beating Cassie. So literally the door is ajar and George he does not physically see Diddy hit Cassie, but he heard the noises. And he says his description, he sees Cassie trying to make space between them. So as the door to the private jet is open, he can see Cassie on her back with her legs in the air, trying to avoid a beating. I can't even imagine what that's like, because you're stuck with somebody and there is space for them to actually get to you. So he's describing this, and this man is like, just like the last assistant, you feel like he could like run the world. He's so direct and on point and about his business. He knows where he's going. Like I feel like I could actually work with this guy. Measured is not even the word, which makes him a really good witness. And for him to describe just at how uncomfortable he was to know that somebody was getting beat in the next room and he couldn't do anything about it. Nobody on the plane was doing anything about it. He also saw Gina getting beat. Technically, in Diddy's foyer in, I believe, Miami, he kept apples, like a huge cauldron full of green apples. Let me kind of give you an idea. I couldn't find a cauldron, but like one thing that rich people do, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's actually a service that no matter what you want the aesthetic to be in your foyer or the flowers, like real life flowers in your house, weekly you can get that. You can get that set up in your house, of course, for the right price. So Diddy in his foyer, he had 50 real apples delivered weekly. He was literally taking these green apples and throwing them at Gina. This was in the middle of the night. Gina ran outside. She was screaming for the guards to open the gate. And this really deeply impacted him. He was not accustomed to this. And his testimony was super, super thorough. You quit. He says, yes, I left in December. I left December 2015 after the Cassie incident. When did you officially give your, how long did you stay after you gave your notice? He said 30 days. And guys, there's different than James. James stayed another 6 months because he was actually super scared of Diddy. This guy says he could not stomach it. And this was his dream job. Who did you tell about these incidents? He says, I spoke to KK. Was it an in-person convo? Yes. What did you do? He says, I gave KK a recount of what he observed the night before. Told KK about every beating that I saw and the bruises on Cassie's face. And he told her that this was the last straw. Her response was she was disappointed and saddened. Now, guys, remember what the prosecution needs to establish outside of just the sex trafficking, which I think will be a hard sell, like being in the courtroom every day, listening to people who are not attorneys and who are not like these top reporters. I don't think that the sex trafficking will be a shoe-in, but definitely anything like the racketeering or anything that is showing the enterprise. Clearly, the chief of staff, you're reporting these things. It's not going to HR. Any reasonable person would be able to ascertain that this man had a huge, huge enterprise of people who made everything work smoothly, whether it was business or whether it was these personal things that he tied into business. Like, insane. She says, what did you tell Diddy? I told Diddy that my father was ill and I could no longer stay. How did Diddy respond? He said Diddy was gracious when it was about his father. He also said that he had a certain amount of cognitive dissonance as it applied to Diddy because he really did like Diddy. He appreciated the fact that Diddy made him be a better worker, but he could not tolerate the beatings. Who is KK? KK is Diddy's chief of staff and like the chief of all of his personal assistants. He says he saw Diddy after the pandemic. And he continued to reach out to Diddy because he liked Diddy. He just would not be willing to work with him again. So we're into the cross-examination. They said you work with Diddy. What they refused to say beatings, but for this, I'm going to go ahead and say beatings to give you guys an idea of what they're actually talking about. Jess, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate you. He doesn't say beatings, but I'm going to say beatings. So he just says, were the events what caused you to leave your employee with Diddy? And were they, and were they happening all the time? He says, sorry, scratch that. I skipped one. Was working with Diddy the best thing that ever happened to you in your life? He said, at the time. He said Diddy was larger than life, and he had overwhelming connections in the industry. What about the businesses? He said he felt like Diddy was a mogul across all business industries. He honestly still uses lessons learned from Diddy today in his present life. Was Diddy a hard worker? He says yes. Did you expect the work to be hard? He says yes. My eyes were wide open. I knew I knew that I was going to have to work hard to work for him. Explain to me where you came from. He said, I was the executive assistant to the chief financial officer at Nickelodeon. I did his scheduling, his travels, his meetings, and his phone calls. Give us your first job description. I was a CFO's assistant. I ensured his schedule was accurate and tight. At a certain point, that CFO moved to Bad Boy. Diddy began recognizing his hard work. He said, funny story, I came to New York one day and his assistants tested him out. He brought Diddy coffee in a tea service and it was a problem. I mean, between us, you guys can put it in the chat. If somebody brings you coffee out, or they bring you coffee out of a tea cup, would you be mad? Like, would you? That seems super petty. But if Diddy is the type of person who made sure that his assistants would wake up early, come and uncap his toothpaste, and then make sure that the uncapped toothpaste was facing him. So all he had to do was grab it and put it on his thing. Of course, Diddy's going to be mad that his coffee was in a tea service. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, I thought it was funny. What other businesses were in your office? He said Revolt, Blue Fame, Sean John, Ciroc. What was Revolt? He said it was a new cable service that had just launched. And the head of it worked for my boss. So he also worked for the head of Revolt by proxy. Was diversity extremely important to Diddy? He says yes. What was Revolt's catchphrase? He says, I don't remember. I'm sorry. He says, what about Revolt? And then he says, let me back you up. And so the guy says to him, can you rephrase that? And the defense literally has to say, yeah, that was a terrible question. Let's try that again. So the judge is like laughing. When I tell you guys these parts, it's to let you know that this man is really good at disarming people, including the judge. Now, he will compliment you. He will pretend not to know words. This Ivy League man who is a prominent global attorney doesn't know how to say Saint-Tropez. Like, he does these things to disarm you. And when I tell you, this man should have been a shoo-in for the prosecution. But Mark really does like reel you in. You want to like him. His style is, his style should be studied. Oh, not a Matlock wannabe. I don't know that I've ever seen a Matlock show. I just know what he looks like. Was Matlock very charming? We're gonna get to the dog stuff. But okay. Were you proud to work there? He says yes. It was a party. It was hard work, but it was infectious vibrations. Diddy was adept at projecting all of that, the party atmosphere along with hard work. Did you have a mission? And do you remember what Diddy's mission was? And he says, vaguely remember that there was one, but I don't remember that. So I notated, he is playing up Diddy's business prowess to combat the physical abuse, because this guy's testimony was very problematic for the defense. He's a straight, narrow-laced guy, seems to be about his business, and quit his job because he would not stand for seeing a man put his hands on Cassie. So how do you do that? You make Diddy look like a good person. And I'm like, okay, I see it. I see what you're doing. What did you do administratively for Revolt? He made sure his boss's pitches were ready. Schedule was tight. What did you do for, was it Bluefin? He said nothing at all. Ciroc. He was ensuring all administrative things went smoothly. Same for Diageo. What did you do for Diddy? What did you carry around for Diddy? He said there was a checklist. I carried everything from his bags to his medicine bags, etc. There was like an executive retreat. It was a think tank offsite. He said, explain that to me. It was where members of the team were taken offsite to build relationships so that their business could become more profitable. So guys, these questions seem like really softball questions. Was it Blue Fame or Blue Fame? That's what it was. They seem like really softball questions, but he does this to disarm the person he is cross-examining. Like, who cares about some of these people? Tony Abrams, the CFO, Combs Enterprises. He handled financial issues. Kenny Burns, Diddy's friend who worked for Revolt. Kathleen, or I think it's like Kathy or something. She's the CEO of Revolt. Or Keith, I'm sorry, Keith. I was writing fast. These questions were going super fast. James Cruz, Diddy's manager. Now they're asking about James. We know that James is going to come up, and it's my opinion that James has flipped on Diddy. KK, we all know. KK was his immediate boss. KK guided him, and they bonded over time. So you spoke to KK about violence you saw. He says yes. And you said she was disappointed and saddened. You says yeah. He says yes. Did KK endorse the abuse? He says no. Was she disappointed in Diddy? He says yes. Now I put a note. This makes me feel like KK has not flipped as of yet, because they are making KK seem likable in here. Like she was just disappointed in the abuse. She didn't have anything. She didn't say forget about it. She was disappointed and saddened. And I thought that was extremely interesting. You guys will find out why I feel like Diddy got to Gina. But this line of questioning makes me believe that Diddy got to KK as well. He said you love working there. He said, correction, I liked working there. You left because of the incident that happened. He's still not saying the beatings. You left because of the incident that happened. He says yes. Guys, we have over 4,000 in the chat. I thought KK flipped too, because KK is what will seal the deal. But if KK flipped, Emery, why would Diddy's attorney be speaking of her in such a positive light? I think that's signaling to KK that Diddy will still protect her. Just in my opinion. I would love it if she flipped. I would definitely be in the courthouse that day, no matter how much I had to pay. And guys, I was supposed to be in the courthouse today, but it was cold and raining outside, and my line holder said they're not going, and I couldn't even blame them. So that's why I was not physically in the courtroom. I tried. Could Diddy's behavior have busted the business? He says yes. It prompted you to leave. He said yes. Were you effective? He says yes. I never worked harder in my life. But it was also it was the best and most terrible feelings of my life. So you were a young man. He says yes. Yes, and Diddy was a god amongst men. How he spoke to you made you feel bad about yourself. He said yes. Yet you feel he was inspirational. He said highly inspirational. He didn't just push me to my depth. He pushed me into depths I didn't know I had. I said, shit. I might need to buy a new microphone when I get back because this one keeps unplugged. I thought that this was almost prophetic. He didn't just push me to my depths. He pushed me into depths I did not know I had. My friends even told me that this was my Harvard and I'm blowing it. You still wish Diddy a happy birthday? He says yes, and never forget it, November 4th. What happened at Biggie's doorsteps? He said Diddy launched revolt from Biggie's doorsteps. If you worked at Combs Enterprises, you wouldn't have to work because it's a paid holiday. He says no. And I believe Biggie's birthday was yesterday. So this man is so adept in disarming you. I'm sitting there listening like I done forgot the fact that Diddy's been beating the shit out of these women. He is really, really good. It's so conversational. I mean, yeah, we're now talking about Diddy giving these people a day off because of Biggie's birthday. Do y'all see what I'm saying? Like, you really just turned the narrative around like that. If this, I put it in here, I put a note. If this shit works, I will lose faith in people because this shit is fluff. That had nothing to do with anything other than establishing that you're kind of like using the fact that Biggie is still a larger than life, lovable image. And we're talking about days off for an employee who had to witness beatings. Like, right. Exactly. A fucking master manipulator. But effective. When I was in the courtroom, they definitely were not sleeping through Mark's cross-examinations. But yes, Diddy's a master manipulator and Mark is good at it too. He's paid well for it.
A manipulator. That's what you're telling me. A manipulator. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. So then they asked about Ezekiel Lil. Natalie, a publicist, Dia, head of Ciroc. You felt like there was a Fortune 500 spirit. He says, yes. Working for Diddy was like being best in class. They operate as a heritage business, even though it's a startup. So this guy was just an assistant, but I guarantee you, just listening to him and his assertiveness, I feel like if Diddy could have cultivated a relationship with him where he felt like the guy was going to let him do whatever, and he was still that the guy was going to let Diddy do whatever, and he was still going to be able to operate and maintain the level at the level that he was working at, Diddy would have given this man a job title, like a for real job title. Shit, I would want to hire him. This guy was good. Did Diddy have a culture of excellence? Yes, in the executive office. People worked hard and long hours. Yes. You saved money for the company when you could. Yes. Was it comprised of all ambitious young people? He says, yes. Everyone wanted to work for Diddy. Did you talk about each other like a family? He says, nah, not that I can recall. So then he tells him, don't worry. I have a few more, specific questions, but that'll be it. And I just put disarm. The word for Mark Garagos is disarm. You know how some people divide and conquer? He disarms the witnesses that he's going after. You had a company credit card. And that's also when things are about to heat up. As soon as he drops all these stupid ass fluff questions about Biggie's birthday and all this stuff that doesn't matter, for a fact he is about to get you. And it said, you had a company credit card. He says, yes. Who determined what were business expenses? He said, I don't know. In your experience with Diddy, he did not pay for things with his money. He said KK kept his wallet, which had a black card, and that was awesome. So everybody's now laughing because he literally said the word awesome. Did he sometimes lease out yachts and villas? He said yes, but multiple people handled his travel. He said, so it's safe to say that in a regular day, Diddy was spending tens of thousands of dollars on purchases. He says yes. Any need for Diddy to actually look at baby oil expenses? He says no. Applesauce expenses? No. But honestly, he only cared about what he was doing in the moment. He did not care about what happened yesterday. So these questions are specific because yesterday he testified that he was actually buying these sex supplies on the company card. Mark is doing this to say they didn't even know. He's trying to insinuate that they didn't even know that he was buying these things on the company card. I put this is not as effective. I can see why he tried to do this because it doesn't look good. It establishes that Diddy's doing this sexual shit with company money. But I put, yeah, this was not effective. Point prosecution. Did you ever see bruising on Cassie? He says no. Did you ever see Cassie? Did you ever see Cassie? Oh, did you see any bruises on Cassie when you took her to the club after the jet beating? He says, no, but I did see bruises on her. Did you see any injuries at that time? He says, no, but I did later. This is when Diddy asked you to get witch hazel. He says, yeah. So you know witch hazel helps with bruising. Was Cassie crying? He says, no, Cassie was whimpering. I almost feel like whimpering is even worse than crying because when you're whimpering I feel like you feel kind of like helpless, like all is lost. But he said, yeah, she wasn't crying. So going to the Gina incident, this was at the Miami house. He says, yes. So there was like some, little table somewhere at the front of the house that he used to have green apples on. This annoys the F out of me. Whenever Mark, this super rich attorney, acts like he doesn't know something or he's trying to be relatable to the people of the jury, like he does not have money, you don't have to have money to have a foyer. You knew exactly what this is. It is a massive table in the front of a massive mansion that had 50 green apples. I get annoyed when he questions the intelligence of the jurors. Like, you can disarm people without making them feel stupid. A table at the front of the house, goddamn well this is it's a foyer table. You knew what this was. You know that it's Saint-Tropez. Check my iron. Why is my iron making a noise? Hold on. That could be the case because iron. Hold on. Okay. Okay, sorry. So yeah, the guy was like, he said he had a cauldron on a massive table and it had yeah, I'm out of town. You think do people think I'm like made of money? Somebody said, do I still iron? Yes. I went and like washed my clothes, Well, certain clothes have to go to the dry cleaners, but I did go and like wash clothes. When stuff comes out, I'm not putting it in that bag to have them come and iron it for me $15, $20, $30. Hell yeah, I pass the iron on a thing. Are you talking about like a steamer? I have a steamer at home, but I'm in a hotel and they don't provide a steamer and I'm not buying one. But okay, sorry. So basically he says, I saw Diddy throwing apples hard at Gina. Was it just the three of you? He says, yes. Could you tell if they were hitting her as she fled? he says, I couldn't tell if they were actually hitting her, but I did see her running from the apples and she was actively avoiding getting hit. So you don't know if any apples hit her. He says, no recollection. Oh, Dory says she uses hotel showers to steam clothes. So I literally like ran out of clothes. I had to go shopping yesterday and buy this, and it's like a sweater, but there was wrinkles on it. So yeah, I ironed it. Definitely. So the gate. He said, describe the gate. He said there was 2 large gates. So you heard Gina screaming. He says, yes, screaming in the middle of the night. He said, did Diddy yell at you? He says, yes. Was Diddy yelling at her? Yes. I'm sorry. Did Diddy ever yell at you? He says, yes. Did he ever physically threaten you? He says, no. Did he threaten your job? He says, yes. Did he ever physically threaten Cassie in front of you? He says, what do you mean by that? And he said, specifically, the words. Did he ever physically threaten her with words? And he says, no. Now, y'all, it's about to take a turn. It's about to take a real turn. Was Kim Porter a very important person? Yes, she was a very important person in Diddy's life. Then he starts saying more things to disarm. You know, my colleague with the government, you know you don't like that woman. My colleague with the government asked you, and you said that Kim was a VIP in Diddy's life. He says, yes. Please expound. So Kim was not just a girlfriend like Cassie or Gina. Kim was the mother of the children, and Diddy valued her more than anyone else. He did not value Cassie and Gina. And I don't think he wanted him to say that last little tidbit. What led you to think that she was special? Diddy had more patience with her. She made him happy. That was a special relationship. Somebody said, I can't believe how many people around him died. That's crazy. What I will do is link that. I will link that video. I think it was called like the death toll video. I will link that at the end of this video because I know a lot of people are new to the channel. But I think it was like maybe 30 people who had mysterious deaths or who no longer with us in Diddy's orbit. Okay, back to this. It was a special relationship. Did you ever set up hotel rooms for Kim and Diddy? Yes, but not baby oil. Instead, there was over-the-counter lotions. He fuzzily remembers. Now, that to me, I was surprised because we never really technically heard about in the 2010s on up about Kim sleeping with Diddy. So when he said that he was setting up hotel rooms for Kim and Diddy, that was surprising to me. Y'all can put in the chat if it was surprising to you guys. We knew that Diddy was paying for Kim's Beverly Hills mansion, but I had no idea he was still setting up hotel rooms for Kim and Diddy. He was working with Diddy, I think, between 2013 and 2015. So those would be the years. What's up, Jolene? And whenever I say baby door, I got that from Jolene Lunzer. Yeah, no, I didn't. The hotel room thing threw me for a loop. I put, was Kim still sleeping with Diddy? When Diddy wanted to wait. When this was important, y'all. This is important. When Diddy went to hotels, you would go home because you weren't working. He says yes. Hotels were considered an on-call situation. So you can use that either way. I don't feel like the prosecution really went in when they did their cross on this question, but he's establishing that a freak off was not something that he was working. I would have asked, were you still being paid while you were on call? But they didn't ask that. But that's very interesting. He did not consider those hotel visits, which were 12 hours to 2 days work. But he was paying for the supplies for that, i.e. the baby oil and the sex stuff, with the company credit card. So there's like a gray area, guys. So he said again, Diddy's freak offs were his personal time. And he says yes. Now, he didn't say freak offs. He said hotel stays, but we all know it was the freak nasty times. Yes. And I put great question. After cleaning, you never saw any damages. He says no. You cleaned the hotel. Why? He said, I was worried. And I wanted recognition for doing my job well. Now, guys, this is another thing. I told you guys, I like the way this man thinks. We're going to take this and we're going to make this one of our quotes. If you do something and nothing happens, you're good. If you do something and something happens, you are in trouble. I.e., he was not required to clean up the nasty piss, vomit, blood, baby oil, candle wax, and all of that stuff in the hotel room. Nobody told him necessarily he had to do it at the level that he did it. But if he did not do it and somebody snapped a picture and said, this is the aftermath of a Diddy party, then it would have been a problem. That was really good. That was like really, really good. I keep saying I will work with this guy. At one point, the security changed. He says yes in the spring of 2015. They said more professional staff came on and they were outsourced. He says yes, he was no longer using his old security. These people were licensed to carry. They said, did you ever see the old staff with guns? No. New staff? Yes. Did you ever see Diddy with a gun? No. Who were the old staff? D-Rock, Uncle Polly, and Ruben. When Gina was getting hit with the apples, did you ever tell the security? He says no, or not that I can remember. They show a photo. It's November 16th, 2018. It's a message from you to Diddy. It is a picture of Kim and I think her friend Lala on a beach. You sent this pic to Diddy. He says yes. What did you say in the text message? No possible words right now. I'm so sorry for you and your children's loss. Sending you my love. Why did you do that? I felt bad. So you stayed in touch with Diddy? I did. I invited him to my wedding. I never heard back. At this point, he objects to his own question. It's building that there was a love there, but that last little part about you stayed in touch, yes, I invited him to my wedding. I did not hear back. When Mark objected to his own question, everybody started laughing, including the judge, because that doesn't look good. You think that this is this larger than life figure. You're reaching out to him, sending love and condolences, and you invite him to your special day, and the nigga never responds. Sounds about right. Let me get into this question. It's Rena says, you invite a woman beater to your wedding. Shake my head. Yes, a woman beater, but based on his testimony, he liked Diddy as a person. He couldn't stand to be around when Diddy did this to women, but he liked him as a person and he still wanted to work for him. He said it was one of the most difficult, weirdest things that he's ever done. I like somebody, but I know they're not a good person. If that answers your question, Rena. Let me see. You said, let me see this. You said today you still respect him. He said it's a complicated relationship, the most complicated relationship I have ever had in my life. They show a photo of KK, Diddy, and himself. They're at Teterboro Airport the day Diddy got his private jet. So he says that's why the champagne was there. He says yes. Now it's a photo of all of them laughing. He said, so you had a difficult job. He says yes. He offended you. He says yes. You had a lot of fun. He says, no. He says, well, look at this photo. It looks like you're having fun. He said, you look at that photo and it looks like I'm having fun. I look at that photo and I see a guy who was thanking God that I found the mascara before Diddy got me. That's when Mark knows he just fucked up. Sorry for my language, y'all. I'm going to try to clean it up. But I've been living in New York. And I don't know. I feel like it's just... This was definitely a point for the prosecution. You're setting up that this man is on private jets and he's around celebrities and, you know, people feel like it's his Harvard. But secretly, what you see in the picture behind the smile is he was scared of this man. And apparently, you know, I don't know if that was the specific jet day that Cassie got beat up on. You see a picture, and in that situation, a picture is not worth 1,000 words because he was actually scared as shit of this man. Yeah. I thought that was so deep and poignant and small, and Mark was not expecting it. And I love it when Mark gets choked up, just like when he was asking about if he, you know, loved Diddy and supported him and kept reaching out. And the man said, yeah, I invited him to my wedding and he didn't show up. I love when that man gets tripped up. What does finding the mascara mean? So you see him and he's happy in this photo on the runway from the jet. So if an outsider looking in would just think this man was loving his job and, you know, flying in private jets. But I guess he was tasked with finding either Cassie's mascara or something. And when you can't find it, it becomes a problem. Diddy threatens your job. He'll threaten you. So he was just relieved because he had found the mascara in time, I guess, for them to take these photos. But that's what it means. It looks great, but it's not what it looks like. He was not having fun. He was just doing his job, and his job was always in danger, even if it was something so simple. Did you want to be here? He said, absolutely fucking not. He didn't say the F word. I said it. Were you forced? Subpoenaed. So you don't want to be here? He said 100%. The government found you and made you testify. He says, yes, I had to retain counsel. And that's kind of what I was telling you guys about a lot of the sex workers. Once the government started subpoenaing the sex workers, these people aren't like, you know, putting out freezer meat type books. A lot of these people don't have any money. If you don't know what I'm talking about, side note, this book is flying off the shelves. The Punisher's Meat That Don't Work book is now flying off the shelves because he's doing multiple interviews. So shout out to him for being the only person to make money off this trial. And the therapist who's making $6,000 a day. Okay, let's move on. Cross-examining. Now, this was good. I'm telling you, Comey is my favorite on the defensive side. She's really, really, really good. So the two incidents, the plane incident and the Apple incident, did that shake you tremendously? He says, yes. Let's talk about the plane incident. If you didn't see Cassie suffer any injuries, how do you know it was happening? He said, there was no way that I did not know what was happening. And I wanted it to stop. Can people be injured with no visible injuries? He says, yes. In the Apple incident, how did that make you feel? He said it was the tension and the anger in the room that was scary. She goes, expound on that. He said it was the tonality, the tension. It was very scary. I had never had to be around a situation like that. And I'm thinking like 10 years ago, he's fresh out of college. He's working for a superstar, but now he's seeing that superstar is beating the shit out of his girlfriends. Kudos to this man, even though he was scared and did not step up. I feel like giving up your dream job is more than a lot of people did. Like I'm not mad at this man. Everybody can't jump in. Let me go back. Let me have a real moment with you guys. I shared a video on my Instagram where it was a lady. She is a content creator. She was dressed only in like a bra and some underwear. And she was talking to the dude from Fresh and Fit. She was saying the mama should have swallowed, like going back and forth. He called her an orangutan. Some people felt like I should have jumped into that. There would be no reason for me to jump into a fight between two content creators who want to fight. She did that in her underwear because that is her content. That is what she wanted to do. I would have been jeopardizing what she was there for, trying to jump in when he wasn't getting physical with her. She wasn't getting physical with her. It was a heated conversation and an exchange that was televised. That don't have nothing to do with me. Conversely, the next day when she saw Dawn, she went up to Dawn and was asking her, what's the size of Diddy's dick? And you can just hear like everybody is saying you're out of line. That is not, I'm not jumping in that shit. That has absolutely nothing to do with me. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing that. Like, what would be the point? She got what she wanted out of that. Fresh and Fit, that dude got what he wanted out of that. He didn't move or walk away. He was there for the shits. He was there for the shits, and so was she. That's not, I'm a New Yorker. I mind my business. If somebody's like putting their hands on somebody, I probably would be a person who interjected. Probably, and it would be stupid because that's at my own risk. But that situation did not call for me to do that, and I was not going to do that. In this situation, he's young. He has seen this person be extremely powerful. I feel like the best thing he could do to be a stand-up person was walk away from the situation. I don't have any problems with what this man was saying. Even Diddy was like agreeing with him in some of the things he said. I'm a New Yorker, please. I'm not. Because if one more person pushes me to get me out the way, they're gonna see what Louisiana. Okay, so you talk with KK, the Green Apple incident and the jet incident. She said you were unwilling to stand by Diddy's behaviors, and he says no. Did KK leave the company? She says no. Did you quit your employment with Diddy with your dream job because of the physical abuse? He says yes. When did KK quit her job because she saw physical abuse? And he said she didn't quit. I said, fuck you. Get him, Comey. Like, Mark was definitely about disarming. These two simple questions about KK, because based on what Mark said, KK was disappointed. You know, she did not go along with the abusive relationship. And in two simple questions, you changed the whole narrative. You changed the whole direction of the KK testimony. I put this was effective as fuck. Did KK quit? No. Did KK quit because of the violence? No. KK is still there. No further questions. And Mark knew that he was outmaneuvered with this line of questioning because he didn't even have any more questions for him. Yeah. Kid Cudi. Okay, so in a real note, Kid Cudi came to court looking like a rock star, like a celebrity. So let me show you if I have a photo. Kid Cudi came to court smoking a cigarette, wearing a black leather biker jacket, a white t-shirt, and some blue jeans. if I don't give a fuck was a person, it would be Kid Cudi today. He really didn't. He made a really interesting, good witness. We're gonna have a lot to discuss, but yeah, he looked like he didn't care. His responses were very much, I don't care. Shout out to the shout out to the little lady who I met who draws these pictures. She clearly does not like Diddy. There's a few different people who come in, but you can tell the one that don't like him. Diddy is still dressing like Mr. Rogers every day. But yeah, shout out to her. She really does not like him. As soon as Kid Cudi walks in, Diddy sits back in his chair like this and looks at him. He says he's an actor and a musician. He and Cassie were friends before they dated. He met her in 2008 at some event. They dated in 2011. He said he knows who Sean Combs is and that he knew that Diddy and Cassie had problems and that they had broken up. They show a picture of Capricorn. Now, guys, the Kid Cudi stuff is going to move. It's going to move pretty fast. It's going to move pretty fast. They show a picture of Capricorn. So he said in December 2011, law enforcement responded to your home. He says, yes. Cassie had called him at 5 to 6 a.m. and said Diddy had found out about us. He was confused, so he went to go pick her up. He did not think that Cassie and Diddy still had any dealings. Cassie was worried that Diddy would come to Kid Cudi's house because he had asked for Diddy asked Cassie for Kid Cudi's address and she gave it to him. Now I put that's interesting because as I recall it from somebody else's testimony, Capricorn had gave him the address. So that I'm sure will get sorted out when Capricorn takes the stand, but that was interesting to me. He said he was nervous that Cassie was nervous that Sean Combs might do something to Kid Cudi. Cassie had told him that Diddy was abusive. So he took her to the Sunset Marquis Hotel because he thought it would be safe and away from Diddy. He then spoke to Capricorn. He knew Capricorn well because she would hang out with Cassie and himself. And they hung out often. Cassie was scared. Cassie was scared when she called Capricorn. I'm sorry, when Capricorn called. Apparently, she was in the car. Diddy had come to her home and physically forced her to leave her home and ride along to Kid Cudi's house. She was in the car on the phone. Like literally, Capricorn is in the car. She knows somebody's about to get effed up. She is like hovering down, calling, trying to pre-warn them, I guess, not to come home. That's some like real gangster stuff. You go to this woman's house and force her to leave with your big ass security guard. And she's trying to call really quick and warn them. Y'all, we joke around a lot. And, you know, this was so many years ago. But this does sound like some type of mafia type enterprise. You can just go and remove somebody from their house. Yesterday, we found out if something came up missing, he would just send goons to these people's house to look through all of your shit, your girlfriend's shit. This is some scary shit, whether you are rooting for Diddy or not. This is some real scary shit. Anyway, it said, what did you do next? He got in my car and went to his house. Now I put, this nigga said, I ain't no punk ass bitch. He didn't say that, but that's really what he was getting at. He went to the house because he didn't care that he had been warned. It said, what house were you at the time? Let's look it up. He said he lived in the Hollywood Hills, 8925 Hollywood Hills Road. Okay. So the house looks pretty Hollywood. It's not a huge house, but It's actually not a big house at all. It's 1,700 square feet, but it looks real Hollywood. It looks dope. Like, I like the house. It looks like something you would see in LA. Okay. So he said, I went to my house at 8925 Hollywood Hills Road. What's the neighborhood like? He said it's an extremely family-oriented area. It was 15 minutes from the hotel. Tell us about your car. He said he had a 2011 Porsche 911 Cabriolet. And those cars are like, what, $150,000, $200,000? And he called Sean on the way home. So Kid Cudi was with the shits. What did you say to him? He said, motherfucker, you in my house. She said, what? And he said, and I said, motherfucker, you in my house. Diddy responded, I just want to talk to you. And I'm over here waiting for you. What was his tone? He said, extremely calm. When you got there, did the outside of your home look normal? He says, yes. Were there security cameras? He says, yes. Were they working? He says, no. How were the security cameras positioned? He said, the cameras were moved to the opposite angles. And I put some scary shit. You got to give it to Diddy. He really didn't care. Diddy honestly does not care at all. Like, you don't know if Kid Cudi had weapons. You don't know if Kid Cudi had goons in his house. You kidnapped your employee, took her to this house, like forced her to go, and broke into this man's house with absolutely no concern. Like, this is crazy. He said the cameras are moved to opposite angles so that they wouldn't see anyone coming in. Was anybody inside your home? He says no. So what did you see when you got into the house? Gifts for his family members from Chanel were opened, and the dog was locked in the bathroom, his 3-year-old dog. I put what kind of dog, but they didn't say. How was your dog different? After Diddy broke into the house, the dog was very jittery and on edge all the time. So now you can see all the PETA people thinking, what the hell did Diddy do to this dog? The mindset is that Diddy abused the dog. And I'm like, what does that do? Like, is that necessary to go into depth in that? But it establishes the tone, especially for dog lovers, that this man is scary, I guess. So he walked back to the car and he called Diddy. Why did you do that? He says, I was looking for him. I wanted to fight him. Did Diddy answer? Yes. Diddy answered and said he was on his way. At this point, I guess the adrenaline was over because he said, I had a conversation with myself. He said, I'm angry right now, but let me just think about this. I don't know who he's with or what his intentions are. He thought about the reality of the situation, and instead of meeting up with Diddy, he called the police. Again, she says, what was Diddy's tone like? He said, very calm. When you returned home, who was there? He said the police were already there, and he filed a police report. Did you see Cassie later? Yes. Did you spend the holidays with Cassie and her family? He says, yes, in Connecticut. Did you hear from Diddy? Yes. Diddy texted me frequently while I was in Connecticut. Said he wanted to speak and get to the bottom of it. But I was extremely mad about the break-in and him messing with my dog, so I wouldn't respond to him. What happened with Cassie? He said the relationship ended. January 2012. Now, this was funny because he kept mentioning the dog's babysitter, my dog's babysitter, my dog's babysitter. His dog's babysitter called him at 6:30 a.m. She was at home and she told him, your car is on fire. He was at an ex-girlfriend's sister's house at 6 a.m. Now, remember this. He was at an ex-girlfriend's sister's house at 6 a.m. Keep that data point. We're going to get into that. His car was in his driveway on fire. So he immediately went to his house. It was a 45-minute drive. So now we see a photo of a Porsche. So let me give you an idea. When I heard that there was a Molotov cocktail put in his Porsche, I was thinking we were going to see this, or maybe even like this. It was a black on black Porsche convertible, and it had red seats. You could see that the top had been ripped open, and when you looked inside, it was more like this, like fire damage in the car. It didn't, it wasn't like all the way melted inside and out, but there was like fire damage in the car. The seats were messed up, the doors were messed up. She says, "What is a Molotov cocktail?" It's a bottle with flammable liquids and a rag. So to the law enforcement, she said, "I did report it, and the car was unrepairable." Where was the cocktail? The cocktail was outside of the vehicle, but near it. So he reached out to Diddy after the fire. She said, "Why did you reach out to Diddy?" He said, "Because the nigga blew up my car." He didn't say nigga. He said he. But that was the gist of it. Kid Cudi was a really funny witness because he does not care. He was actually really, really funny because he was so unconcerned about what was going on around him. So D-Rock and Kid Cudi's manager arranged a meeting. They were meeting at a meeting room at the Soho House. He walked in and met D-Rock. Hold on. He walked in and he met D-Rock. D-Rock escorted him to the room. Sean Combs was standing at the window with his hands behind his back, looking like a black supervillain. Everybody in the room cracked up. The whole room just bust out laughing. Discussed the whole story as how he started to date Cassie. Now, one thing that I will give Diddy, we've been listening to all these people talk about him and his business prowess. Who has the upper hand now? You then broke into this man's house. You then blew up his car, but you have your head of security go out and meet him. Set up a meeting with his manager. You arranged for him, like you sent for him to come to you. You're standing up in the window looking like a boss, probably with sunglasses on, and he's coming to you like the timid, lowly person. That's a mind F in itself. Like it's very intimidating to be a person who got your car blew up and you still got to come to this man. So he's basically sunning him from the beginning. Diddy told him, "We were homies and you chose to date my girl." He said, "I didn't know that she was still your girl." He says Diddy is very calm at this point. He kept offering him water. Now, I wouldn't have drank that water either. Who knows what was in that water, but Diddy kept trying to push for him to drink water. He said no each time. Cassie arrives. And at this point, Kid Cudi is upset because he realizes that Cassie has gone back to him. The meeting ended. And while shaking hands, he asked him, "What are we going to do about my car?" And Diddy looks at him and says, "What car?" He walks off and just says, "Okay." He saw Diddy a few years later at the Soho House, and he was with his daughter. I'm imagining he was with Chance because Diddy's never with his twin daughters alone. They're always together. So Diddy actually came up to him and he said, "I want to apologize for all that bullshit a few years ago." He said, "How did that make you feel?" He said, it was surprised he would not have thought that came from Diddy. So Brian Steele is doing the cross-examine, and y'all, Brian Steele does not play fair. Mark is conversational, disarming. Brian Steele is straight to the point. And sometimes, guys, he plays dirty because if there's an objection, he will pass it. He will continue asking the question because he knows that the jury can still hear it, even if it's objected, even if there's an objection, and even if that objection is sustained. He's really good. So he says, "The Porsche, January 9th, 2012, was there any surveillance?" He says, "No. But fingerprints were taken." He says, "Yeah, I guess." "And did those fingerprints come back from a female?" And so now they're objecting like crazy. 3 questions in, and you have already switched the narrative off Diddy. There's no surveillance. There were fingerprints, but the fingerprints were from a female. Within 3 questions, he's not trying to disarm you. He's getting straight to the point. Now, in reality, you know, we can talk. We can have our commentary. In reality, what happened? In my mind, what I think we'll hear Capricorn come out and say is Capricorn worked for Diddy. She was supposed to be loyal to him. When Diddy found out that Cassie was sleeping with Kid Cudi and Capricorn knew, he wanted to punish her. He brought Capricorn to the house to show her what it means to be what somebody who is disloyal gets. He started making her take lie detector test. And I think what we will find out in a couple weeks when Capricorn testifies that Diddy made Capricorn put her fingerprints on the car. Her fingerprints were on the Molotov cocktail, as I think what we're going to get. But for the sake of this, Brian Steele's cross-examination of Kid Cudi was very effective in the first 3 questions. See, I don't have any skin in this race, so I can just tell you if the prosecution is doing well, the prosecution is doing well. If the defense is doing well, I'm gonna tell you. And this was extremely direct and to the point. Cudi responded, "I don't know. Do you have any information that Mr. Combs was affiliated with your car setting on fire?" And he said yes. And then the judge had to intervene because he was trying to explain too much. And it was like, yes, do a yes or no answer. And so the answer was no. He does not have any specific information that it was Diddy. You knew the relation ended because she told you. He says no. Explain the relationship. He said they talked every day for a year. So that's why you were confused. He says yes. So Cassie played you. He says yes. Keep that in mind too. We're going to go back to that. So now he's disarming. You're a very accomplished artist. So Kid Cudi says, yeah. Now he's flattering him, not trying to embarrass you. You are a very large artist with a huge following. He says, yes. In 2011, you had a tour with 65 stops. He goes, I don't know, maybe. He says, no, in 2011, you had a tour, 65 stops. Kid Cudi says, yes. And it was called the Cudi Life Tour. He says, yes. A different city each week. He says, yes. And you were the lead act. He says, yes. Was Diddy an icon at the time? He says, yes. Fashion, music, etc. He made other people very popular. He says, yes. At one of his concerts, he asked you to do a song with Cassie. He says, yes. And so that's how you got close to her. And I was like, super smart. Now you're making it seem like Kid Cudi was going behind Diddy's back and that Diddy was just the doting boyfriend trying to get Cassie work. He makes people very popular. He asked you to work with her. I said, okay, smart line of questioning. Do I think it worked? No. So that's how you got close to her. He says, no, we were friends before. Was she always getting a lot of text messages? He says, no. Did you guys exercise together? He says, no. And he kind of laughs. Did you do drugs together? And he kind of laughs again. And he goes, what kind of drugs? Like weed? Yes, we occasionally smoke weed. Do you remember telling law enforcement that Cassie, hold on, what was the question? You told Cassie that Cassie ended the relationship. And he said no. And he said, let's go to the exhibit. And so the exhibit said, yes, that's what he had told them. He said, well, if it's on the document, it's on the document. I guess I said it. And everybody laughs again. You spent 3 days with her at Christmas. He says, yes. Did the family thing. He said, yes. Felt close with her. He says, yes. You were hurt when it ended. He says, yes. December 22nd, 2011, your house was broken into. December 22nd, 2011, your house was broken into. He says, yes. It was broken into, but you left the door unlocked. I said, God damn. He says, yes, I think so. So I guess, you know, when you have rich people and you have a bunch of doors, you might leave them unlocked, but that's very damaging. So your house was broken into, but your door was unlocked. He says, yes. No damage to the home. No. Your gifts were unwrapped. He says, yes. And your dog was behind the door. You said, yes. Was Diddy calm when you talked to him? He says, yes. Was Diddy calm on the second phone call? He says, yes. No mention of a firearm. No. Did Capricorn tell you that there was a firearm when she was hiding in that car? No, she didn't. And now the judge intervened because he said he was about to expound. And the judge told him, no, you need to answer yes or no. You need to answer yes or no. So you're a strong and principled man. He says, yes. And yet you were ready to fight Diddy. He said, yes, he crossed the line. Cassie told you there was physical abuse. He says, yes. Were you in love with her? Yes. Did Cassie ever tell you there was sexual abuse? He says, no. Was Combs also confused? He says, yes. Cassie was living two different lives. He says, yes. So Cassie played you and Diddy. And he said, true. And I said, well, goddamn. Now we gotta have a sidebar. This was effective. Prosecution's questions were effective. Brian Steele's questions were effective. But between you and me, I told you guys, remember where he was when he found out his car was on fire. You're claiming to be in love with Cassie. You were so hurt, and Cassie was playing you. But 12 days after you spent Christmas with Cassie and her family, you are at your girlfriend's sister house. Remember, he said he got the call at 6:30 when he was at an ex-girlfriend's sister's house. So Cassie played you, but you had a full girlfriend 12 days later. I really wish they would have dived into that a little bit more, because that's funny on his face. You got Diddy literally beating the shit out of this girl, pissing on her, pissing on Gina, lifting Kim up. We found out about 2 extra girlfriends, but Cassie's the one that's playing you. Meanwhile, you're so in love with Cassie. Cassie said that they literally dated for 30 days. He was in love with her. They had talked and texted. There was some sex, but you had a whole nother girl 12 days later. I thought that was funny. So then he moves on because he got what he wanted out of that. By him saying that Cassie played him and Diddy, he got what he wanted out of that. And you guys take note of that, because we're going to get into something very, very soon involving why Cassie is being portrayed the way that she is. And you guys will be able to tell me if it's effective or not. Desiree, ex-girlfriend, meaning it's an ex-girlfriend now. So what he was saying, because we had a whole debate, I think me and the lady from ABC News, we were talking, and when she explained, the whole table got it, because we thought it was just ex-girlfriend's house. But no, now it's an ex-girlfriend. Basically, what he was saying was he was sleeping with somebody else that was his girlfriend, got the call that his car was on fire from his dog babysitter, and jumped in his car and drove 45 minutes back home, meaning he was with the girl. We don't know that it was a previous ex. We just know that he was in love with Cassie, and now there's somebody else, meaning somebody else was probably there, is the point. Let me see. So now the guy says, have you ever gone to court as a victim for your car being blown up? And then there's an objection, and they call a sidebar. So they move on. In the 13 and a half years since this happened to you, have you ever gone to court about your car? He says, no. Do you remember telling law enforcement that she had multiple phones? He says no, but he looks at an exhibit and he says, well, yeah, I guess I said it. Everybody starts laughing again. Did she have burner phones? He says yes. What's a burner phone? It's an untraceable phone. Received a call that Cassie had given. Oh, did you receive a call that Cassie had given your address to Diddy? He says yes. And then I put Capricorn. So I put can't wait for Capricorn to testify. So in the cross-examine, what did Cassie say about the abuse? That Diddy would hit and kick her. Did Cassie say she was free with you specifically? And he said yes. She told me that with me, she was free and she was carefree. Was Cassie carefree when she called you that night? He says no. What exactly did Capricorn tell you? That Diddy and an affiliate made her get in the car to go to his house. That they had physically made her get in the car. How did you feel? First, I was angry, and then I thought that they might have weapons. He said Cassie was scared that Diddy knew the address and knew my address and that we were hanging out and scared for Diddy to go to his home. Why did your relationship end despite you having feelings for her? He said it was drama and the drama got out of hand and I needed to get space and it was for everybody's safety. Now that for everybody's safety is extremely, in my opinion, effective. Because outside of the defense, like poking holes at him and stuff like that, technically, Kid Cudi's defense as a man who did not know that Diddy was still dating Cassie, you have been threatened and your house has been violated and something happened to your dog. As a witness, Kid Cudi is a dream for the prosecution. I'm not going to sit here and say that the defense's testimony was not compelling, but technically both Kid Cudi and George Kaplan, the assistant, were wins for the defense. I mean, for the prosecution. They were wins for the prosecution because it was cut and dry. You witnessed abuse. You bought the shit with the company credit card. This man came to your house with goons and gangsters, kidnapping people. Definitely wins for the prosecution. But these very high profile, high powered, highly paid defense attorneys are doing a damn good job poking at these people. Yeah, but I definitely think the prosecution got it because having Comey do the cross-examination, she's really, really good. Do you believe Mr. Combs when he said, I don't know what happened to the car? Now, this is also when you know you got the defense. Question, do you believe Mr. Combs when he said, I don't know what happened to your car? Kid Cudi says no. And then the guy says, objection. Judge says overruled. So she rephrases the question, but it's a very similar question, basically just asking, do you believe Diddy? He says no. Objection. Objection. The judge is finally like, on what grounds? What are you objecting to? And then after the judge says that, the prosecution says no further questions. That's how you know they got them. They're objecting just to object, just to throw you off. Yeah. Okay. So while everybody's on break, I stay and listen. And basically, now I see what the defense is doing. The judge is kind of reprimanding the defense team because he's like, I don't see that you need to have her album cover where she's holding a gun to her mouth as an exhibit. What's the point of that? The prosecution is basically saying that there is a lot of misogyny going on with Cassie and how she's being vilified. The judge agreed. The judge was like, I don't see any relevance. You have a photo here with Cassie topless. What's the point of that? You have a photo here that you're trying to put into evidence that shows her having a gun in her mouth. What is the point of that? What was the there was a term that he used. I want to tell you guys the specific term. I think it was, he said more prejudicial than probative. So all the attorneys in the chat, You can kind of explain to the people where he was going with that. But he was like, I'll allow this photo, I'll allow this photo. But of these 9 photos where she's topless and all of these other things, I don't know what is the point. What's the point of that? And the judge has been very fair. I think like sometimes he's laughing at the back and forth. I think he enjoys, listening and trying and presiding over this case, but he seems to be pretty fair. He was like, you're not telling me the relevance of this exhibit. She said, because Love a Loser was an album that she made while she was with Diddy, it proves the fact that she was actually working and Diddy was doing stuff for her. Now that is one song. That's not an album, but okay. The judge acknowledges that they are trying to I can't read my writing. He was talking too fast. He says the defense chose 7 nearly nude photos of her. And most of the photo objections were sustained. Oh, guys, we got almost 9,000 in the chat. Definitely hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Okay, so we got Mila. So let me tell you guys a little background about Mila. Mila was Diddy and Cassie's makeup artist. She's a really nice lady. We have had conversations, but I'm just gonna put it out there. When I talked to Mila, she was a woman who witnessed abuse. She just kind of like, wanted to talk. And she told me under no certain terms, where's Stevie J? I don't think I'll answer that question in a second. I'll answer this question in a second. Under no certain terms could she give interviews. And then the next time I see Mila, she's on CNN. So we'll get to that and how the defense tried to like break her down. But she did tell me she wasn't going to do any interviews. And we had like very, nice off the record conversations, but then she was doing CNN and multiple interviews. So you do with that as you may. Why is Stevie J not there? I don't think Stevie J is a good look. I don't think you want somebody from Love and Hip Hop supporting you. Stevie J is going to get a lot of press. He's going to get a lot of press, and it's going to be the wrong type of press for Diddy. Diddy wants the girls there as often as possible to make him look like a family man. He wouldn't be a good look. Ebony, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. We'll get into why I think she changed her mind and why the defense examined her the way that they did. So she's a celebrity makeup artist, 2000 to 2005. She did Diddy's makeup. She did Rihanna's makeup for 13 years. She also worked with Cassie and J-Lo. She met Cassie at a photo shoot when she was 16 years old. And then she became one of the regular makeup artists for her. When was the last year you did makeup for Cassie? She said 2021. Cassie was like a little sister to her. Has seen Cassie a few times a year since 2018. 2008 to 2015, there was photo shoots, video shoots, and at studio and at her home is where she worked on her. Diddy was the final say on all of Cassie's looks. She saw Cassie with an injury on her face at the 2010 Grammy weekend. Prince had a party at his house. So earlier they did a photo shoot. Then she and Mila went to dinner alone. They went back to Cassie's hotel room where Mila fell asleep. It was a suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel. She woke up to some commotion. And Diddy walked in. He said to her, "Where the fuck is she?" She didn't answer. Diddy went into the bedroom. They said, "What did Diddy do after?" He walked into the bedroom. "What did you see or hear?" "I heard yelling and screaming." What were you feeling? She said, "I was feeling frantic, didn't know what to do." Diddy then opens the door and storms out of the hotel without speaking. Were there any visible injuries on Diddy? No. Did he say anything to you as he left? No. What did you see after? Cassie had a swollen eye and a busted lip and multiple knots on her head. What did you do? I packed up her things immediately. What happened after? I took Cassie to my home. I then called my homegirl, who was a doctor, to come and check to make sure she didn't have any concussions. She also checked her stomach and her ribs because of the bruising. So it was contusions on the head, busted lip, black eye, and bruising on the ribs and stomach. Now, if you guys don't remember, what she's describing is the night that Cassie went to Prince's house for a concert he was having in his basement. Diddy did not know Cassie was going to be there. He walked in and saw her. Cassie ran out. She ran to her hotel, and Mila is talking about the aftermath. The doctor suggested Cassie go to the ER. Cassie said no. Mila said, I feared for my life and Cassie's life. They objected to that. It was sustained. Why didn't you call the police? She said, I feared for my life. How long did you stay? How long did Cassie stay at your house? She says 3 days. Did you ever talk about what happened Grammy weekend? She says no. Have you spoken to journalists? She says yes, a couple times. Did you provide photos? She says yes. How much were you paid? Nothing. How much were you paid for your photos? $1,000 per photo. So this is the cross-examine. And again, this woman, good witness, definitely for the prosecution, witness beatings, was an employee, was paid to work on Cassie as an employee, all showing the enterprise, the racketeering, whatever. But the cross-examine, I was like, I wonder what they're going to do. So Anna cross-examines her. Did you introduce Cassie to Ryan Leslie? She says yes. Anything else besides music that Cassie did? She modeled. What did you do with her? I assisted with photo shoots, Blank and Vibe magazines. I did red carpets. I can't recall which ones, but I did them. Videos. She goes, specifically, I did the black and yellow video with Wiz Khalifa. So they show a photo and it's Cassie and Wiz. They show another photo. Cassie looks really good. It's a black and white photo. Then there's another photo of Wiz, a man, and Cassie. Then there's an editorial photo shoot, the Blank magazine photo shoot, and a picture of Ryan, Leslie, Cassie, and Rihanna. So they said, let's talk about the hotel incident. You stayed with her even though you only lived a mile away. She says yes. Have you met her mother or have you met her family? She says yes. I've known her for 20 years. Did you call a lawyer, friend of yours, after you called the doctor, friend of yours? And she said yes. Now y'all can help me out here. I thought that they were going to ask additional questions about this. Did you call a lawyer? As if to say that she was money hungry and was trying to get Cassie to sue Diddy. After she said yes, she moved right on. She didn't ask any more questions. So I thought that that was smart because there probably was nothing to that. But it's just planting a seed of doubt in the jury. Did she call the lawyer? The lawyer talked to Cassie, sure. But the jury, the way that they're trying to make this woman look like a clout chaser and that she's reaching out to a lawyer on behalf of Cassie, it could have gone somewhere else, but it didn't. So I'm thinking that's a sneaky trip. That's a sneaky trick. You are making them believe that something happened that did not happen. Did you provide emotional support? She says yes. I was there for her for whatever she needed. In the past year, you said you did a couple of interviews. She says yes. She said, actually, you did CNN, Don Lemon, Extra TV, Pierce Morgan, and 2 documentaries totaling 8. She says yes. 8 is more than a couple. She says yes. Other than a few dollars, $1,000 for your photos, were you paid? She says no. Did you get a request from Dateline? She says not sure. Did you ask the government permission to do additional interviews? And she starts kind of like floundering. And she says, And she goes, let me help you. Let me show you the exhibit. So she showed their exhibit and she says, of course I would ask. I did ask for that, but I still refuse all interviews. Were you paid? Were you compensated for anything for the documentary? She says, yes, I was reimbursed $250 for therapy. So let me tell you why I thought that this was interesting. I thought it was interesting because they really can't do too much with Mila. She's a good witness. You're sympathetic. She's been a good friend to Cassie. There wasn't too much they could do except try to make her look like a clout chaser. When she initially told me she wasn't going to do any interviews, I kind of took that as she wasn't going to do any interviews. She had reached out to me. She just needed to talk. She, felt like I was a sympathetic ear and the way that I chose to go about covering the stories. And I do feel like that was the case. In a situation like that, it's like, you reach out to me, I will be, a sympathetic ear for somebody who experienced something like that. But does it sting if they say they're not doing any interviews and they do interviews? Yes. It does. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh, Jess, thank you for becoming a member. Ellen. Oh, hey, Ellen. Hey, yeah. We probably should, next time I'm in town, we probably should do like a lunch or something. V, thank you for becoming a member. Salvation, hit the like. Yeah, definitely hit the like. I don't know where we are on likes, but definitely do that. Hair, Mims, we appreciate you and you're looking good. Thank you. I need a haircut and to get the hell out of New York. TM, it costs $0 to like the video. Yeah, do what the people are saying. Cash App is not working. It goes in and out. Did somebody try to send me something? Multi Cash App payments canceled for your protection. I don't know why they're doing this, but yes, it looks like a lot of Cash Apps. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try to reach out to them again. I appreciate you guys trying, though. I don't know why it's doing that. DT, thank you so much for your thoughtful coverage. You have become a trusted source for me. I appreciate that. And I'm hearing that more often. I think there's a space for all the content creators covering it. Everybody does their own thing. But I definitely appreciate hearing things like that. This is work. It's 8 hours in the courtroom and then coming out and doing the show. So I appreciate it. We the people. He got the best defense team his money can buy. He's going to make the opposing team work. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the prosecution they're going blow for blow. And Amir, I'm sorry again. Why are you sorry? Don't be sorry. Amir is covering the trial. Thank you for the super chats. Mama Flip and Grandma Flip. It was speaking to you at the court, Mama Flip. Oh, okay. So I spoke to you at the court. Yeah, let me see. It was oh, okay. I think I do recognize you. I thought you were the mother-daughter duo, but you're not. But I think I do recognize you. Fanes, thank you for becoming a member. Foxy's Life. It's Memorial Day weekend. My birthday is on Sunday. Come out to my borough. We know how to have a good time over here. You deserve normalcy and a great time while you're in town. I actually leave town Saturday. I got to head back home and take care of like some family stuff and go see what's going on with the aneurysm and all that. But thank you. I appreciate it. What borough are you in? JH, thank you for the super sticker. Shalandra, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you. And I thank you guys for supporting me in the way that you do. I never ask for anything, but it's not lost on me that you guys have really shown up and shown out for me. Coretta, thanks, Mims, for keeping a 71-year-old reformed petty queen up to date. All right. 70 is the new 50. You're looking good. That's all I got to say. Thank you for being a member for 11 months. Shay, thank you, members, for all your hard work with following this case, despite what is going on behind the scenes with you, sending you love. Thank you. I appreciate it. I need to get back to the UK. Crystal Cove. Crystal be sponsoring a lot of these. Thank you, Mims, for wading through this filth for us every day. Whimpering is a term usually used for young kids and puppies. That made my stomach turn. I didn't even think about that. The only thing I thought about was like you feel helpless if you're whimpering. But yeah, you're on point, Crystal. Never thought about that. Peaches, thank you so much for the super sticker. Peaches has been here since day one. Kia, Mims, how are you taking such detailed notes so quickly? That's talent. Well, y'all can see sometimes I'm struggling to get through my own notes because I don't write that. I mean, this shorthand, but to get like the full thing, I have to tune out all the crazy people in the courtroom. Oh, we didn't. Okay, we'll do a little bit of this after I do the super chats. We still got a little bit left. Ballerina, do you think Gina will flip now? Kim is his queen. I need to do a video on Gina. You reminded me. The Gina video is either gonna be members only. It'll come out tomorrow. I need to talk to my attorney before I put that out. I'm gonna reach out to my attorney before I put that out. If the attorney says it's no go, it'll be members only. If the attorney says put it out, then I'm just gonna put it out. She's so jazzy. The crazy lady is a crackhead Barney. The crazy lady is crackhead Barney and friends. I feel like there's a space for all content creators. So I'm not going to call her crazy. That's her thing. That's what she does. I just was not going to get involved because she came there for that reason and my room was with the shit. So I'm not going to involve myself. But I think there's a space for everybody. Just fab. Mims, you have earned my SS member, my straight shooters membership and this extra coin. Your commentary is excellent. I'm a native New Yorker living my best life in Bermuda. All right. So you retired in Bermuda. You really are living your best life. Thank you so much, just fab, for the generous super chat. Mama Flip, I agree. I stopped her fighting with another guy. All the Fresh and Fit fans said I didn't help him because I hate him. You can't win. Yeah, I'm not jumping in that. If somebody's like hitting a woman, sure, but if they're just going back and forth and that's their content, I'm not gonna jump in that. Carol, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. Just fab. This trial got me on edge. I need the jury to do their civil duty and find this monster guilty. Combs is like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, and Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think they're going to find him guilty on some charges, but not all. What? Maybe 8 to 12 years, maybe 8 to 15. I'm not seeing it yet, but we're only on week 2. I wonder if Combs made Capricorn throw the Molotov cocktail. That's what I'm thinking. That's why I can't wait for her testimony. We need more people like her to flip. Kimmy, this trial is crazy. Thanks for waiting through all the hours of testimony and giving us the highlights. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Kimmy. Paige, if somebody brought me coffee and a tea service, I would have been pissed too. Bougie. Chemistry. Mims. Check out what was supposed to be Diddy's 50th birthday party. It's really eerie when you realize what happened to some of who's who in Black Hollywood after the party. Some were humiliated or have been deleted on Kim P's birthday. Okay, I'll check it out. Nurse Lala, thank you for the super sticker. C's creation. And wait, shout out to the nurses. Real quick. Haven't been in the hospital all the time now, back and forth with my sister. The nurses really are out there doing the Lord's work. Because they'll send a nurse before they send a doctor. And you gotta shout out to the nurses. Now I'm just gonna leave it at that. Shout out to the nurses. C's Creations. Thank you, Mims, for all that you do. You're truly a blessing to this world. Blessings to you and your family. Thank you. Brandy. Yesterday, I believe you mentioned Diddy kind of jamming to music. Kanye has been supporting him. Kanye's song Villain playing in his mind. Interestingly enough, I'm now cool with Kanye's social media person. She's a nice lady. She got a tough ass job. Inez, thank you for the super sticker. Tracy, thank you, Mims, for your coverage. You are loved out here in these streets. I appreciate you, Tracy, sorry. The Empress, thank you for being a member for 12 months. Miss Marie, hey, just wondering, has anyone checked on Wendy Williams? How does she feel about what's going on and how she's doing? I got the address. It's like, I think 5 miles from where I'm at. Before I leave, I do intend to go by Wendy's building. Now, she ain't going to interview with me, but I'm going to go by the building. Renee Glover, thank you, Mims, for everything. Word on the street is Capricorn is testifying. If I miss Capricorn's testimony, I'm going to be pissed. I think I might be able to find out if she's coming this Tuesday. Well, it doesn't really matter because even if I don't, I'm gonna have like the transcript. So we're gonna be still doing in-depth coverage whether I'm here or not. But I am trying to work something out with a hotel chain. Maybe I will partner with the hotel chain, and if that's the case, then I can be here for the full month. I'm not going to be spending $2,500, $3,500 weekly to be here for this trial. That's crazy. But I might be, working with the hotel chain. And if they sponsor me, then that's different. The Real Empress, trial of the century, like the OJ trial in the 90s. So let me get through this really, really quick, guys, because this guy was boring. But it's worth discussing. So they had a guy who worked at a hotel. He's the director. He went through all of this bullshit that we don't need to go through. But this was extremely interesting about how the hotels feel about Diddy. Diddy started going to this particular hotel called, I think it's like, let me just pull it up and you guys can, because I know I'm going to butcher this name. So it's La M. Okay, so I found it. Okay, so this is the hotel. So Diddy was staying at this hotel. They had the manager. The stuff that they had on him was pretty embarrassing. These were the notes that the hotel had on Diddy. Only give him entry-level rooms, which makes sense because Cassie was telling the escorts to bypass security. So if it's an entry-level room, you just go to the bungalow or wherever. KK, Eli, and Dave had access to, they could just charge rooms there when they wanted to. These were the notes. Always spills candle wax on everything and excessive amounts of oil everywhere. After customer leaves, place the room on out of order upon departure for deep cleaning. Authorize an extra $1,000 for room damages. Please monitor room. Continuously spray air freshener down hallway. Customer likes hot room. Have it to 75 upon arrival. So I put, basically, they're smelling all this sex smells. You got all these candles. The people are musty, and it's sex smells in this suite. So the hotel is already alerted to make sure every 10 to 15 minutes to go spray the hallway with air freshener. That's disgusting. They said there's wax from candles everywhere. Large deposits of wax everywhere. Customer stole pictures. So wax on doorknobs, wax on floor, wax on the carpet, wax on the nightstand. They had no cross-examination for this person. Let me see. Donna, hotel sponsorship, very smart. Sure, any hotel wants to link up with me, let me know. Francis, great job you're doing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Most people that I talk to, especially the content creators, either live here or they're staying with a friend. I know Armand is doing this out of his own expense as well. But yeah, we need. I'm not gonna do that. Rochelle Muhammad, you crack me up. I appreciate all you're doing and how detailed you are. Be safe. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Sonia, thank you for the super sticker. So y'all, I'm done for the day. It has been a long day. Expect some short content videos tomorrow. Probably, I hope I can do that one just as a normal video. Hopefully I'll put out the one about Gina. Brown Sugar, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. All right, y'all, I gotta go. Have a good one. Stay safe. And stay away from Diddy's of the world. Bye.